A few months ago, I had the unique opportunity to watch the entire Toronto Raptors have a full team practice. And let me tell you, there was a lot of good stuff that I picked up on that I wanted to share with you guys. Hey, I'm Narek, or as many of you know, NK Clouded. The event I got to go to was a coach's open practice sponsored by Tangerine Hoops. Not only did I get a few goodies like this board and this whistle and an amazing cinnamon roll, I got to learn a lot of little useful details about how the coaching staff run the team and practices. Before we got to watch the hour-long team practice, each assistant coach a part of the Toronto Raptors got to talk about a specific part of the game, like offense, late game situations, and what I believe the Raptors do best, development. I've added timestamps in the description below if you want to go and have a look. The first person that had the chance to speak was Adrian Griffin, and his key topic was motivation. Please remember that this was a coach's open house, so a lot of it was tailored to how coaches can improve their teams and players. Adrian was a really cool guy who gave a brief summary of how he was able to transition from a player to a part of the coaching staff, and it was really cool to see from his perspective. The main quote that he provided to help himself with motivation was that to motivate your players, you have to motivate yourself. He also talked about his 3 C's in basketball: courage, competencies, and continuing to learn. Adrian had the unique opportunity while a part of the Chicago Bulls coaching staff to mentor and train 2 young guys in the league. They were both rookies. One of them was Tony Snell and the other one was Jimmy Butler. It was interesting to hear him talk about how from the jump, Jimmy Butler had all the confidence in the world while Tony Snell had none of it. It really made me think about how confidence really does hold a part of the game. And if you didn't know, Adrian Griffin's son plays in the league. And a few nights before this event, he actually did this to the Raptors.
Trey in the open court, underneath Griffin, got it, and the Hawks win!
And then a few nights after that, he did this again.
Instead, they'll go inside, throw up, and he got it! He got it! He got it!
He also talked about a book that helped him with motivation called Make It Stick. I'll put a photo up on the screen right now for anyone who's interested. The last cool thing that Adrian talked about that I really liked was that when he was coaching under Scott Skiles, he would get weekly quizzes where he would use active recall to help him pass. And clearly it's been working because it's not just Adrian Griffin anymore, it's Dr. Griffin, as Dr. Griffin received a doctorate in leadership studies. Jim Saan was the next speaker, and he highlighted development a part of the Toronto Raptors, which I believe the Raptors are best known for around the league. They're able to find late first rounders, second rounders, and undrafted guys and develop them and turn them into real solid players. I can make an entire video about every single player the Raptors have developed into solid pieces, and best believe I will sometime, so let me know if you'd be interested in the comments below. Just to name a few of the Raptors' key development pieces, we turned Fred VanVleet, an undrafted guy, into an all-star, and the only other guy not named Kawhi Leonard to receive a Finals MVP vote in the 2019 championship run. We also had Kyle Lowry, who was an average starter when he first joined the team and eventually grew into an all-star that really helped us get that championship, and some people's greatest Raptor of all time. And the last player that I wanted to mention was Pascal Siakam. Coming into the league, he was drafted 3rd to last in the first round, and he was mainly on the floor for his energy and rebounds and defense. He was able to acquire an offensive game and passing as well. Overall, he's developed into an amazing player, and there's some nights where he seriously looks like the best player on the court. Jim Saan started off by crediting some of the Raptors' developmental success to a guy named Rico Hines, which if you didn't know, holds some of the best open runs in the entire world, so you should definitely go check out his YouTube channel. Jim Saan talked about how his players are inserted into a developmental program that features 2 steps. The first step is evaluating the roster at the start of the season. He said the ratio was about 25% primary to 75% complementary. The primary guys being guys like Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, LeBron James, Steph Curry, guys like that. And the rest are complementary guys that work off of the primary guys. Step 2 would be to break it down into 3 areas. 1 is individual skill. 2 is team building skills, where 2 to 3 guys would work together for a period of time. And last and most importantly, 3 was shooting. Jim Saan couldn't emphasize shooting enough and how important it was to the game. Thanks, Steph Curry. His main point for shooting was that form shooting is very important and that coaches shouldn't be afraid to touch up their players' forms on jump shots. I think the perfect example of this is Precious Achiuwa. In his rookie season, a part of the Miami Heat, he shot 1 3-pointer. After getting traded in the offseason to the Toronto Raptors, in his second year and first one a part of the Toronto Raptors, Precious went from 1 3-pointer in the season to 156 threes in the entire season. That's obviously an incredible increase, and by the time the playoffs rolled around, we got a really confident Precious who was able to take jump shots like this.
Here's Achua quickly into the front court, and a transition three!
This made him into a serious offensive threat and three-point shooter. Saan also said that you should build up drills to help simulate in-game situations. He used his son as a test subject, but I think I got a good gist of it. For the first set of this event, he said for a player to come off a screen, take 2 dribbles into a jump shot. Next was to come off the screen and build more space so that you get a better open look. After that, he said that you should do crossover after the screen and go in for the layup. And the last one was that if the defender rejects the screen, you gotta do an earlier crossover. All these combos and drills help prepare players for in-game situations where they're able to think just a split second faster because all of these drills become muscle memory, which I really liked hearing about. Playing off the catch is another thing Raptor players are good at, and that's not done by accident, because Jim really emphasized how much they like to play off the catch. And the last thing that he talked about was how development wasn't linear. Some players like Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet have a steady increase from going to role players to eventual all-stars, while other guys from the bench mob years of the Toronto Raptors like Jakob Poeltl and DeLon Wright took a few more years to develop under different organizations. Situations matter. The second to last assistant coach that was speaking at the event was Earl Watson, and his key topic was on offensive pillars. Earl Watson has had a ton of experience helping develop young players' offense, the most notable one being Devin Booker. His quote that I took away from was that belief is always stronger than reality, and that's what he uses to coach. I feel like Earl Watson said the most valuable information, but he was saying it so fast that I just wasn't able to keep up, honestly. I'll still try my best to dissect and break everything down for you guys. He briefly talked about how important fast breaks were and how Magic Johnson taught him how to run a proper fast break that featured the first person going to the free throw line extended with the ball and keeping his head up looking for his teammates. If the pass wasn't there, fill the man to the middle and start coming around on the wings. He also said that fast break should be played between the elbows, so take that as you will. He also believed that the 3 best shots in basketball was layups, free throws, and the 3-point line, which makes sense. He also specified that you should pass up a good shot for a great shot, and if the bucket wasn't there after 2 dribbles, just pass it along, which really has me thinking how he would react to someone like Kyrie Irving or Allen Iverson, who need multiple sets of dribbles to break down their defender to get a bucket. Anyways, my favorite thing that Earl Watson talked about was how the dunker spot was the most important position in basketball. Why, you may ask? Well, that's because the dunker spot can see everyone else on the court, which made me realize how Nikola Jokic had so much success in the NBA. He plays off the dunker spot, grabs all the defenders' attention, and then just passes it up because the entire court is open for him to see. If he's parallel with the hoop and the back is against his crowd, well then he can see everyone that he wants to pass it to. It was really interesting to hear about that because I never realized that Nikola Jokic found so much success that way. Earl Watson also spoke about how point guards should care about their players. You know, like how they want to get the ball, if it should be spinning, how hard it should be, where they want the ball, up here or down low. That was really interesting to hear about. On the subject of caring, he also talked about how as soon as he got a part of the Spurs coaching staff, the first thing the legend Greg Popovich talked about was how his family was. That really speaks volumes to how good of a coach he really is. Oh yeah, and the last thing that I wrote down was that he likes to have 4 people crash the glass on offense and defense for rebounds. He pretty much just said rebounds win games. Trevor Gleeson was the last assistant coach to talk for the Toronto Raptors, and his subject was late game situations. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to pick up on much that Trevor said because of his thick Australian accent and because he was just speaking so fast. It was kind of interesting to hear about his coaching life overseas in Australia because he said that in the 8 years he coached, he lost 8 games due to the buzzer. So I guess that's why he really likes to emphasize on late game situations. Quick pop quiz. According to Trevor Gleeson, if you're down by 3 points with more than 10 seconds left and you have the ball in offense, what should you do? A. Should you take the quick 2 and then play pressure defense? Should you B. Try to get an open 3 and take the shot? Or should you C. Try to grab a foul, make the first one, miss the second one, grab the board and go up for the win? The answer is, drum roll please, A. Go for the quick 2 and play pressure defense. Congrats to everyone who guessed A. Now, it was time for the full team practice. This practice was a day after the Raptors played the Atlanta Hawks, and it made sense because all the players looked dead tired. At first, it seemed like no one was really going at game speed, and I don't know if that was because the Raptor players knew that we were there, or if they were actually tired. I'm guessing it was the second one. There was a lot of form shooting as to be expected, a lot of crashing the glass just like Earl Watson talked about. I actually noticed that the rookie Christian Koloko was grabbing a ton of rebounds and crashing constantly, more than anyone else, and it really reminded me of a young Pascal Siakam or Jakob Poeltl when they really didn't have any other value to the game other than grabbing heavy rebounds. No offense, Christian, of course, you're still a great player. They practiced transition offense and defense off makes and misses. They did a lot of shooting competitions, which actually I noticed a lot of the big men a part of the Raptors, like Kem Birch, Christian Koloko, and Wancho, were all making their corner threes. I don't know if it was a lucky day or if they should actually start utilizing more in their offense. And the last thing I noticed, which might seem obvious, was that the practices were ran by the assistant coaches and not the actual head coach, Nick Nurse. Once the practice was over, Nick Nurse came out to speak in front of everyone. But unfortunately, I had other plans set out for the day, so I had to head out kinda early. If any of you cared, my little cousin actually got his blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so congrats to him. I really enjoyed the event overall. It was nice to hear the assistant coaches speak and the players to practice on the game. It's a real luxury to be able to see the entire team have a full team practice, and the host of the entire event, Paul Jones, said the exact same thing. If he has to go through a million hoops while working with the Toronto Raptors, imagine what normal people like me and you have to go through to go watch them play. Thank you to Tangerine Hoops for hosting an amazing event, and thank you to you guys for still sticking around and watching this video. I really appreciate it. It was really fun to switch it up from my normal videos and create a vlog style presentation kind of video. But I really hope you guys liked this, so let me know in the comments below. Thank you once again, and I'm glad to be back. This was Narek, and as always, until next time, cheers.